front of his house for 45 minutes and just sit there. And cars were waving, and he's going like that, going weird. But I can only do that for so long.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
So,
Once a week on Fridays, 5 o'clock, park there for an hour or two. That'll cut a whole lot of their traffic. Some of the people wouldn't come back anymore.
all right, well, yeah, we can try it.
That's all I'm saying.
Even if you don't park, if you just drive through slow.
Oh, parking's better. I'm telling you, parking's
Parking
way
will do it
better.
then, huh?
Because then they're looking at us, I mean, it's a little dangerous, thinking they could come out with a gun or something, but it's certain, they'll shut the whole thing down.
It's more.
And they'll tell them,
Good.
they'll tell everyone, hey, it's too hot right now.
Mhm.
And, you know, it does spread. Back when we were in SCORE, we did a search warrant on a Sunday afternoon. We got called in for it. And we were getting dressed, or getting suited up outside police headquarters. And the feds were listening to a phone call at a house that didn't have anything to do with us. And the feds were on, phone lines, and they're telling, people were calling from the high-rise, telling them the SWAT team's getting suited up, shut the house down. So,
Wow.
Do that more often.
Friday would be a hard day. You can sit there all, not on Friday evening, because Friday evening, that's one day they raise more hell between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 o'clock at night on Friday. I know you guys got to be busy.
yeah.
You can't not gonna be able to sit nowhere.
One
Not on
option,
Friday evening.
one option that maybe we could, you're off tomorrow, but is take
I'm going to
a
Pittsburgh.
police car and park it down there on 11th Street.
Right.
And, we can leave it there for 2-3 hours, just have the car there.
Mhm.
But that's maybe a possibility that we could do something like that.
Will they take your car?
You got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
watch out for my car.
You got it all, they'll figure it out.
It'll be yours.
Yeah.
You always be
They
walking.
could even have a dash cam in the car or something.
Yeah. Neither of ours do, yeah.
Yeah, they don't spend that money on that cash can.
But that would be something worth
A
trying.
citizen
even
can
if-
volunteer a dash cam for us. I mean, if y'all would agree to that.
We could use that camera that they rolled out the other night. That wouldn't work. But we'll
Any other ideas?
we'll come
let
up
us
with
know.
something. If you have anything, just email us. Or
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our District 1 Commissioner at Large, Melissa Bynum.
How's everybody?
Okay.
I appreciate being here. I can talk as long or as short as you like. Is it time to go? It's already time to go, so we'll make it brief. I did bring a few little items. Perhaps our time would be spent better if you had things for me. And we'll take a minute here. I brought you a copy of the District 4 map, because I wasn't certain if, maybe you didn't know the boundaries of the commission district that you live in. So what I'm gonna do is keep one of these for myself and then send these around. And then, I just think the District 4 map is interesting because it dips pretty far south, and I think sometimes we forget, the area that's encompassed when we talk about District 4. I also brought you a full copy of District 4's survey results from the citizen survey that was conducted in the spring of this year, and I just brought 2 full sets of the District 4 results. These are for you. You may or may not, you know, care about them, but I printed them and dropped them. It's kind of interesting for me to look at that information and see what people are saying in the community. This one I brought, and maybe you've seen it and maybe you haven't, but when the mayor did the listening tours in all the districts last year, 2015. Wait a minute. Yeah, it would have been 2015.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I've confused myself. The top part shows the averages of what the community said, and the bottom part shows how the commission in the budget process allocated the additional 12 million that is due to start coming in January. Does that make sense? So, you know, the point being that I think we tried pretty hard to hear what the community was saying in terms of that extra revenue, the new revenue, from the payoff of the original STAR bonds, which are estimated to bring in about 12 million additional beginning in 2017. And so you can see that, you know, obviously people want tax relief. We tried to balance that with some of the other things that were being requested, like obviously infrastructure, streets and curbs and things like that. So I did notice in your neighborhood that Oakland between 13th and 11th has new pavement, and I frankly was thrilled to see it, and I think it does look pretty nice. It looks, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but it looks like the utility work is going better. Would you agree in terms of the way that they're leaving it? I mean, if you don't agree, that's fine, just tell me, because if there's work to do, we need to do it.
Are you referring to the gas service?
Yes, yes. The way, they just seem to be a little more thoughtful maybe in the way that they're.
It's not because they just say they're gonna do it, it's because we monitor, and we monitor, well, you were there when they had the pictures, and they had said they were through it, so we sent them a letter, an email, I think a carbon copy too, and they were gonna leave it, just like that, they were not gonna do anything, but they've come back.
That's good.
And they've, I think, done everything except Rosalind's yard. Matter of fact, in your yard, you may, if you go out, you smell whiffs of gas sometimes, particularly in the morning. I don't know why, they did everything except your yard. You know, out there, you know, the part where
When they put those things in, now the grass is growing up, but you mean
no,
beside
right next to it, you know,
Oh.
where they had all the dirt piled up. We actually have pictures of it. And they came back out and marked the gas meter. But we actually went on a tour with Jeff, well, not Jeff, but the other guy with him.
Good.
And he kept saying, why did they not fix this? So they don't, unless you really just stay on them, they won't. Matter of fact, I've had two other people, once they saw it come back in my yard and in Freeman Crawford's yard, they said, well, this lady next to me said, well, I don't own the property, but look at how this looks. Well, you know, how did you get this done? Well, you have to complain.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, you just get tired of doing stuff that people sit and look at you and won't lift a finger. You know, you go do for yourself. So I would say, no, I don't think that they plan to voluntarily do it. But we're gonna email him, Jeff Salter, about coming back and finishing that spot in New York.
I'm not happy to hear that, but at the same time, as you know very well, and all of you know, because you've been doing this neighborhood-based work for a long time, that is one of the strengths of having an organized neighborhood. Collective action and cooperation among you, yourselves and your neighbors to sometimes make someone pay attention who otherwise would ignore. Ever since I came to the meeting that you had with them, I've been paying a lot more attention out west along, Parallel and Leavenworth Road, because they are just tearing it up, tearing it up, tearing it up, tearing it up. And so I wanted to pay attention to how they put it back and see if they're putting it back nicely or in a haphazard sort of way. So I have to say that so far, from the part of town where I live in, it seems to be being put back fairly well.
Well, I think at the meeting they had at Louisville Neighborhoods, where the gas service company showed up, and there were complaints from all over the city.
All over, yeah.
As to how they treat
And
things over here.
yeah, gosh darn it. You don't wanna believe that, but I do, unfortunately. I mean, especially in terms of Wyandotte versus Johnson. I have a friend who lives not far from here and works for Johnson County. And her neighborhood also had concerns. And so I just emailed her and said, well, you know, from your perspective, working for another government, what do you think? And she just told me what she thought. And what she thought was the same thing you think, especially since she works for Johnson County government. Her point back to me was, I've seen how other county governments operate, so I know better, and I know we can do better. So I thought that was very insightful. Not that, I mean, you're dealing with a private company, but nonetheless, it's the same philosophy, so, yes,
You know, you don't even have to go to Johnson County. That's too far.
yeah,
Just reach out a little bit west
right.
and look at what they do in those areas to
Right.
compare with what they do
Which is
in
why
this
I
area.
was watching that same kind of construction happening in the more western side of our town, just so that I could see how are you putting it back at 91st and Parallel? You know, what does that look like? So,
Well, you know,
When I met with the
at-
guy,
At the Louisville Neighborhoods meeting, Tom, when the gas service companies, as I stated before, there were complaints all over the city, it wasn't just out here. They weren't
Mhm.
treating this area, Turner, they had complaints from Turner all over.
Mhm.
So it's just the gas service company in
That
Wyandotte
was
County, it
true.
wasn't just here.
that's true.
When you were talking about a gas leak,
Yeah.
October the 25th was on a Tuesday, and the company that's going to put my roof on, the gentleman put the roofing and everything out there, and then he had his long truck and everything, and he said, I smell gas. And I said, really? He said, but I think you ought to call the gas company and call an emergency. And I said, are you sure? And he said, he was putting something back, and then he said, have you called him? I said, oh, I'll call him after you leave. I said, they might keep me on the phone. You know how sometimes you think they're gonna do something real quick. Well, anyway, I called him after he left, and I told him it was supposed to be like, he told me right up, at the curb. And he said, his, truck was right there at the corner, and he said he could smell it there. So anyway, when I called them, they asked me, you know, all these questions about where it was and everything, and, you know, if I was safe and everything. And then they said, well, send somebody out. It didn't take any time for somebody, I looked up and they were out there, and then they said they were gonna get somebody else, and we're gonna do this, that, and the other. They stayed there till, what time was Miss Coleman to, all night long. The trucks, fire trucks, they went across the street and everything, and I wasn't gonna stay up all night long, but they were there all night long. And one of the men said, well, we want you to be safe. And, I mean, I didn't ask him if he was gonna be there all night long, I just figured that.
I went up and talked to him.
Oh, did you? So you saw them and,
I went up and talked to the people who were working on
oh,
the lines.
I brought my Shepherd Center newsletters just because this is my full-time day job. And I thought, you know, you may or may not have interest in the Shepherd Center piece of my world. But I brought them just in case, you might wanna have a look at them, and, that is, a very small nonprofit, but we work with older adults and try to do programming and services around older adult issues in Kansas City, Kansas. And just one more thing, kind of flipping back to the unified government, so we, you know, in addition to the, items that we tried to fund in the upcoming budget, you know, the other thing that I specifically asked for and got my fellow commissioners to agree upon is, a minor home repair fund, specifically for homeowners, and older adults, older adult homeowners. The allocation that was made to that was only $50,000. I was really hoping for, frankly, several $100,000. And I feel confident that with $50,000 as a demonstration project for 2017, we can justify a higher dollar amount than that in a budget after that. But I felt pretty strongly about it because Shepherd Center operates a minor home repair program, and we do it with volunteers and very little money, and the need is enormous. And so I feel like that may not be a normal, usual function of your government, but so many people are living in the only